Hello, everybody. Today I am continuing with the Retrograde Planets Masterclass, and the focus is on Jupiter. It's retrograde in the natal chart. What is its effect? How to deal with many of the Karakas, and how to analyze its transit. Hello, I'm Komilla Sutton, and I am doing the masterclass on retrograde planets. And today our subject is Jupiter retrograde. And those of you who are new to this channel, I focus on the transits of the planets and on tutorials and learning. And now I'm doing all the retrograde planets one by one. There is a separate tutorial about the basics of retrograde planets, and you can see that. I'll put a link at the bottom. You're saying that I'm not replying to your comments. I actually wasn't able to find them on my phone. So now I found how to reply to comments on the phone. So you'll see a much better reply rate as well. But just remember that ask me questions regarding the video. If you're just making comments or random thing, I'll just like it. But I like to answer your questions. So if you ask me any particular question, and also regarding retrograde planets, keep your questions coming, because at the end of this series, I'm going to do a Q&A, question and answer video, so that anything that I've left out in the video, I will answer them. So getting back to our subject about Jupiter retrograde or Vakri in your chart. Now, Jupiter being a retrograde in your chart is quite a big thing. Why is that? Because Jupiter is Karaka for many different aspects in the chart. You know, he's Karaka for a number of things. You can see he's Karaka for wealth. He's Karaka for children. He's Karaka for husband in the chart, for guru, for elder brother, for Sukha, contentment, for Dharma, for all sorts of things. Plus, he is Karaka for different houses. He's Karaka, main Karaka for second house, fifth house, ninth house, 11th house. So therefore, if you have a retrograde Jupiter in your chart, it is affecting many things. The simple rule of retrograde is that if you have a retrograde planet, it is powerful, and if he's benefic to do good. But there's a lot more subtlety that you must understand. Firstly, the fact that it is retrograde in your chart, you should have a good software to check it out. Is it Vakri? That means, has it come back from a different sign? You know, so say move back from Sagittarius to Scorpio, or Scorpio to Libra. It's quite often that you have retrograde in late degrees of Libra, but actually the retrograde began in Scorpio. So that is one very important aspect to see, that is it just Vakri, Vakri, stationary, that means it is Mandatara, or it's slowing down. So these things are, you have to look it up yourself. And that gives you some idea about what is the quality of how retrograde it is, or how it is behaving. So the second thing to look at in your chart is to understand what houses does this Jupiter is ruling. So houses, if it is Lord of your Lagna, it has a big impact. Moon Lord, it has a big impact. You see, the thing about retrograde planet is, if you have a retrograde in your natal chart, there is some hesitation about the quality of this planet. Even though it is strong and powerful, how you express it, you are doing too much or too little, or there's something pulling you back, because the retrograde by nature is pulling you back. But if it is stationary direct, it is very powerful. And it's like straight looking at something, and you see people with stationary direct Jupiters, they have a purpose in mind. That's what they're doing. There's no turning left, there's no turning right. But if it's retrograde and it's Vakri, then it is hesitating because it appears very big, or it's like I'm larger than life here. But actually, personally, I'm turning back, looking at something different. I'm not looking at you. So I don't understand my impact on you. So the retrograde planet has to understand that. And all of you have to understand, if you have that Jupiter retrograde, is that how is it behaving in your particular chart. And so, of course, any Lagna Lord which is retrograde is very complicated because it is affecting your whole life. And if your Moon Lord is also Jupiter as Moon Lord is retrograde, that means you have Jupiter in Pisces or Sagittarius, Moon in Pisces or Sagittarius, then it is retrograde as well. And so those two things is Moon Lord, definitely how you think. You're not necessarily thinking conventionally. Is that good or bad? In a very conventional society, people will think that is very negative. But in an unconventional 21st century way of living, everything is to be celebrated. And I don't feel that anything is negative. It is how you use it. You have a certain skill, and that is what is about, that how do you use that skill. Then the Karakas for Jupiter, second house is Karaka for second house, which is Dhana Bhava, house of wealth. So it will affect your attitude to money. It can either make you feel I want a lot of money, or you can feel I don't have enough money because it's ruling your second house. Sukha Karaka, fourth house, your attitude to contentment. Sukha is translated, actually difficult to translate, but you could say contentment. Fourth house, and it's about happiness, contentment. Of course, now the Lord is retrograde. Venus also is studied for Sukha, but I look at both Venus and Jupiter. And so how you view that contentment factor, that is very important to see. Then fifth house, children. General rule is if Jupiter is retrograde, even in the Dushtana houses, he is definitely going to give children. But how do you relate to your children? What is your attitude? What is your thinking about having children, looking after them, being with them? All those things are, more psychological factors as well with the retrograde that you can think. Of course, depending on how the retrograde has taken place, that has to be judged in an individual chart. It is Vakri, Ati Vakri, is it stationary? Is it slowing down? All those things have to be taken into account. And then in the seventh house, it's not Karaka for the seventh house, but it's Karaka for husband in a woman's chart. Now, again, a retrograde planet can delay having meeting somebody that you like, but mostly it is how you think about them, or what type of person that you are looking for in the chart. And there can be some unusual characteristics that appeal to you in your husband, because it's specifically in the woman's chart. Then, of course, the key area that we are all concerned about is Jupiter as Karaka for the ninth house, and Karaka for Guru and Dharma. And so those are the things that Jupiter retrograde can have an unusual attitude towards what you think is Dharma, what is your responsibility to life. You may internalize it all, you may not express it fully. Then what are you looking for in a guru? What type of gurus you get? You may get a guru that has a little unusual personality, think outside the box. You may be attracted to those types of gurus. Remember that it is not the ninth house ruler. Of course, ninth house ruler may also give the same effect, but it's the Karaka. So it means if you have just the fact that you have Jupiter retrograde in your chart, it means that all these Karakas are being activated and looked at, are being retrograded. I'm trying to find the correct word, is retrograded in the chart. And then finally, we look at the 11th house, which is Labha Bhava, house of profit. So again, that is another thing that affects by Jupiter. We don't think usually that guru is there, that it's going to affect money in our chart, because we tend to think of Jupiter guru as guru teaching children. But the money factor is how your attitude to money. Are you earning, attitude to earning, because 11th house is also house of earning, elder brother. So a lot of things that Jupiter affects in this, by being retrograde. Then we come to the two questions that people have asked me a lot, or it's one question really, that does Jupiter or any planet, when it is retrograde, does it become debilitated? Exalted retrograde becomes debilitated. Debilitated retrograde gets exalted. Now, in my experience, I don't think that exalted planet becomes debilitated just by being retrograde. It cannot change its location. So let's say Jupiter is in Cancer and it is exalted, but it is not going to suddenly behave like Jupiter in Capricorn. But if it is in Cancer, it may have a quirk about it. It may not appreciate that I have all this luck, the way it gives advice, the way all the different Karakas appear very big, yet there is some unsettled energy, something different, unusual about it. And it doesn't have to be negative. It's unusual. And I personally think that a Cancer retrograde, Jupiter in Cancer, is very generous, very expansive, great advisor, general good luck. But the retrograde will bring an extra element into it. And that's what you have to think. And then Jupiter debilitated in Capricorn retrograde. Again, Jupiter in Capricorn turning retrograde, it is okay. It will still remain, it doesn't take your Jupiter out of Capricorn. It's still a Capricorn attitude, but it gives a different attitude to things. Of course, it can make you more unhappy because you think I'm not lucky, I'm not getting all the breaks in life, or you can create Capricorn into a much stronger energy. The thing about Capricorn is a sign of business, doing things, practical way of expressing yourself. Jupiter by nature is supposed to be generous, giving, not always saying what is there in it for me, how should I act, why should I act this way because I'm not getting anything back in return. So when you have Jupiter in Capricorn, sometimes there's a more practical attitude to life. And there's nothing wrong with it. But if you get too practical, or you think, oh, only, I have to get everything. If I do something, I must get in return. Then that is the difficulty in the experience. But when it's retrograde, the point is this, that it's very powerful. So it gets extra points in Shadbal as well. It will be strong in Capricorn, behaving like Jupiter in Capricorn. It doesn't get the Cancer qualities. The reason why these rule has been given, this is where my thinking, you may be thinking something different, is that I feel that it's because a Vakri planet, a retrograde planet, is not behaving in its normal quality, normal behavior. So therefore, if it is exalted, there's going to be something different. It's not just going to be a straightforward exaltation. And the same way, if it is debilitated, it will not be a straightforward debilitation. I personally feel with debilitated planets and retrograde, one must watch health as well for that, because it can affect the health too when you're looking at the retrograde planets. And then we look at the dasha of the retrograde planet. So dasha, by dasha I mean Bhukti, Prayantara, and all the 5 levels, whatever you're looking at. So this is when the big experience is also going to happen. There are some things that are in your birth chart that is just who you are. And so if you have a retrograde Jupiter, then you have those qualities, house rulerships, etc., what I've talked about. But in the dasha, then they become more enlivened and more stronger, and you have to deal with it. So one of the things that a dasha of a retrograde planet does, especially when you come into dasha bhukti, that means there's some holding back, there is some delay in the true expression of the dasha. You're always thinking, oh, it's going to happen, it's not happening. And one of the reasons things are not happening is because you're pulling yourself back and you're not really paying full attention to putting things forward. But you can't do it, I would say, if you're not ready for it. So don't be hard on yourself. Just accept that this is part of the experience. And then we look at the bhuktis. Bhuktis are actually what you experience in a dasha. So they are few years long. And so when you get the bhukti, then again, the same thing is happening, but it is a shorter period. Actually, in a dasha, the main experience of that dasha is dasha bhukti. And so if you have a retrograde dasha lord, then that first few years, or depending on the length of the dasha, it will be the intense experience. But later on, other planets will change the attitude. But suppose you suddenly get retrograde Jupiter bhukti, then suddenly your thinking, what you're advising yourself, those things change as well. Because as Jupiter is the guru, I feel a big impact of Jupiter is how he advises us internally, how we are open to taking advice. So in Jupiter Dasha, which is retrograde, we have to be careful about that. I don't think it blocks you from having children or blocks you from having money, but it is more the attitude about money and children and happiness, Sukha, that you have to consider. So finally, we look at the transit of Jupiter and Jupiter retrograde. Jupiter retrogrades for 4 months at a time. And what do I watch for the retrograde? Of course, I watch it, what degree it is retrograding, and what degree is it going to go forward at. So where it retrogrades and that stationary degree, if you have a planet under that, that is a very nice experience. Because if, say, you had Jupiter at 25 degrees retrograding and you have a planet at 25 degrees, then Jupiter is giving you like a long-term blessing because he's stationing, he's around your degree, and that can give a very big opportunity for you. Unlike Saturn, which blocks the experience, Jupiter will bring a great energy for you when it is stationing there. Secondly, what I look at is that I've always found that if you get stuck in a retrograde, that means you are doing something right at the moment of the retrograde. That is not an easy energy. So I always try to avoid traveling or starting any new project when the Jupiter is going retrograde. Although once it has retrograded back, I don't find that there is any you don't feel it, experience it. It's more at the time it's turning retrograde, and then the other side after 4 months when it is going to go direct. So it slows situation down. It's a fast moving planet, and then sometimes things are not happening. And again, the same thing, exact day of going direct is best not to do anything major because there's a possibility of delay. But if you have a planet placed there, then also Jupiter will bless you by being just stationary and being sitting there totally. One final point I forgot to make is that in the Chara Karakas, what role Jupiter plays. If your Atmakaraka is Jupiter and it is retrograde, then, it's your whole soul's energy that you have to understand the retrograde. You need to work with it. You need to accept that there is something that is unusual about what your soul wants, some hesitation to express itself. It's almost, I feel that a retrograde planet is holding things back. You're thinking there's so much potential in you. How do I express it? What do I do about it? Therefore, you need to think about it. It's not things that you can do without some swadhyaya, some inner thinking to think about these energies, because the Atmakaraka will be the planet with the highest degree. So if Jupiter gains the highest degree, then you have to analyze it in detail. Also see, is it going over Gandanta point? Because 3 of the Gandantas are possible with Atmakaraka. Is it, always at the end of any sign? Is it Vargotama? Is it, what else is happening to it? Is it slow, stationary? All those factors that I have explained to you before. But I have a friend who has Jupiter in his Lagna and retrograde, and he cannot stop giving advice. When he sits in the room, nobody else is listening. You have to listen to him telling you how to sort out your life and this. And one day I said to him, but you don't know anything about this subject. And he said, no, but I know better than you do, or to other people. So there's this guru element of, wanting to be the guru, wanting to give advice. But sometimes inside there is a sense of vulnerability with all retrograde planets. And I think that is something that you should be aware of, that there is some inner vulnerability. However larger than life they project themselves, there is some inner vulnerability that the retrograde planets keep. So I hope you enjoyed this class, and I'm going to continue with the other retrograde individual ones. And, always I'll maybe leave something out. So put questions to me. I'm going to have a separate video about question and answers. And again, I really appreciate everything you're doing. Check out the other videos as well as my website, komilla.com. And I'm heading towards London now. In 2 weeks, Baba conference is from 19th of April.